So, season 5 of The Boys has ended. And
You're a fucking disappointment.
yeah, so I feel like it has been talked to death about how terrible the final season was. So I'm not gonna do that. Well, I am gonna do that, just differently. Hello everyone, my name is Zero, and welcome back to Zero Opinions. And happy 4th of July! Today, I am going to be attempting to rewrite Season 5 of The Boys, because while the final episode can actually work as a really good ending to the series, the build-up just wasn't there. So I want to see if I can rewrite the story to make episode 8 work. I think having Butcher, Ryan, and Kimiko be the last ones to fight Kimiko makes a lot of sense thematically. I don't really care about the political jokes, I just want to write a good story with these very, very good characters. And much better power scaling. That has been dwindled down to literal memes due to a shitty writer. Now, I am not saying that I am a better writer than Eric Kripke. I just thought this would be a fun project to see if I could do a better job finishing what should have been the most cinematic season in television history. That being said, I'm not good at telling the comedy aspects that the show, well, tries to. I will try my best, but yeah. Also, just to get this out of the way, I think the Deep's character arc is perfect for him. Quadrupling down on being a piece of shit will never not be funny for his story. So, that story pretty much stays the same. Podcast bro, slamming out Black Noir, dying in the ocean he swore to protect. The surface. Mostly the same with Ryan, minus the killing. I don't think I'm going to be changing Ashley's role in the story. I think her becoming president makes sense, as being in the public eye constantly is the only way to avoid death by Homelander. Black Noir 2 is gonna stay about the same, and so is Oh Father. So, with everything out of the way, I am going to be going over the first 7 episodes and how I think the story should have gone, trying not to dwell on what should have changed and just changing it however I want to. So, my goal is to tie up loose ends, adding Gen V to the story in a way that both feels right and does justice for their character, but also keeps them out of the final fight. Like I said, Butcher, Ryan, and Kimiko should be the ones getting the final blow, but the other ones can be there, just not as prominently. Tie together the loose ends of Project Odessa in combination with V1, making sure all the loose ends flow together the best I can. Also making each episode play off each of the last ones. The amount of times we just spawned in 7 Tower was annoying. So, with everything out of the way, let's jump into episode 1, and I hope you enjoy. Let's start exactly where Gen V Season 2 ended. Starlight meeting up with the Gen V kids. And she should be friendly with them for the most part, except for these two. Kate and Sam should not be forgiven by Starlight. all of her friends are in a freedom camp because of them, and they need to atone for what they did. So the plan is simple. Kate using her powers to sleep the guard up top, and Sam breaking them out and helping Starlight and A-Train grab them to safety. Cut to Homelander getting a notice that the camp the boys are staying in are being raided by Starlighters. He goes to fly over immediately, much to the dismay of William Butcher, who is currently in V-Tower, virus in tow, where he runs into a couple of familiar faces, Anna Marie and Jordan Lee. It seems like Starlight's plan was to cause enough ruckus at V-Tower that Homelander would have to choose between the boys and his reputation as the company's CEO. This is still a point in the story that Homelander wants to be liked, so it would make sense why he would even consider giving up the boys for Vought. He doesn't, but he might once he finds William Butcher there. Speaking of, William Butcher enters the 7 office, not to find Homelander, but to find Deep, Noir, Firecracker, and Sage. However, Marie and Jordan enter the office right behind him. Sage, not even shocked that Butcher is there, seemingly just walks out of the room. Butcher, trying to figure out where Homelander is, goes on the offensive, attacking Black Noir, who only escapes by flying as fast as he can with the Deep in tow, because at the time they're still bros. Sage calmly walks out of the room, just to be followed by Marie Moreau, where they have a talk. Marie asks why someone as smart as her would be willing to suck Homelander's dick all the time, in which Sage tries to explain to Marie the struggles of being smart enough to solve everyone's problems on the planet, but never being listened to. So all she wants is to get away from the responsibilities of being the smartest person on Earth, and to have a show to watch as the world burns down around her. She's tired, she's selfish, and she's bitter after her boyfriend went straight up full supremacy. So if Homelander killed every last human on Earth, so be it. Sage was technically on his side the whole time, and if the humans managed to kill Homelander, that's one less whiny soup to worry about. Sage has lost her motivation to make the world a better place by using Homelander, instead just feeding Homelander's delusions, then fucking off. Marie is stunned by Sage's response. As Sage goes to leave, Marie obviously tries to stop her. Sage pauses, looks at her, and says, "I see why my husband was obsessed with you. Once you're complete, Homelander will look like a joke. But none of it means anything, if your sister says it doesn't. So what do I even know anymore?" She scoffs, and she walks out of the building. Cutting back to Jordan and Butcher. Jordan is beating the brakes off of Firecracker for being a pedophile, and Butcher is looking for any signs of where Homelander went, where not only he stumbles across the location of the freedom camps, but also the sleep bay containing Soldier Boy. Butcher grins, as this is a chance he's been waiting for. Not only a chance to test his virus, but a chance to get vengeance for Ryan. He opens the box, injecting Soldier Boy with the virus. Because he injected it straight into Soldier Boy, the virus will end up dying. Soldier Boy's insides are literally radioactive, causing the virus not to go airborne, and theoretically just killing Soldier Boy. But something went wrong. Soldier Boy wakes up in pain, writhing in agony as wounds start to form across his entire body. But as this is happening, he stares down William Butcher. He charges his chest blast, and a very, very teeny blast ends up coming out, barely enough to knock William Butcher off his feet. Soldier Boy passes out, over-covered in bumps, and the scene ends with William and Soldier Boy lying on the ground together. Alright, so the reason I wanted the show to start this way is because I hate that Butcher instantly teamed up with the boys again, along with the fact that nothing came of Starlight teaming up with the Gen V kids. So, that is where I want the series to start. Him having to find out that the virus is still not strong enough. We aren't talking about a citywide pandemic, we are talking about a worldwide pandemic. If Butcher injected it into the wrong person, if it was anyone else but Soldier Boy, he could have killed the entire world. Which leads directly into episode 2. Now I want to swap back over to Starlight and the rest of the Gen V kids. It is shown that she was the one who came up with the idea to distract Homelander with half of the Gen V kids while the other half go to rescue Huey. Because while Starlight should be friends with most of them, these two, Kate and Sam, are the reason those people are in there in the first place. So, Starlight tells them that it's time to make up for their mistakes. While the events of episode 1 are happening, Starlight, Sam, Kate, and A-Train all sneak into the Freedom Camp. The plan was supposed to be simple. Kate would sleep the Mind Reader's soup up top, while Starlight, A-Train, and Sam got Huey, Frenchie, and MM out of the Freedom Camps. But something went wrong. By the time Kate made it up there, the telepath had already sent an alert out to Homelander that something was wrong, and he was booking it there. A-Train gets Frenchie and goes to the hideout where they find Sister Sage and Annabeth waiting for them. More on that in a moment. Starlight and Huey have a small fight about how she could have done this for the last year, but at the end of the day, they are just happy to see each other. Sam goes to grab MM when Homelander lands. Him and Homelander have a chilling talk about how he was supposed to be the guardian of Godolkin, and Sam explains that he has made a terrible mistake. Sam tells Starlight to get out of here. As Starlight takes off, Homelander goes to chase after her, only to get jumped on and slammed into the ground by Sam. Homelander questions in a snarky remark if Sam's only power is to jump real high, which Sam responds in his innocently psychotic mind that he also is really, really strong. As you see him jump back into the air, he shoves a Muppet Homelander. Cue a Muppet-themed sky fight, during which Homelander is informed about Soldier Boy and William Butcher at 7 Tower. Sam and Homelander go back and forth. Homelander not understanding how a kid can be almost as strong as him. He's getting frustrated. He's getting angry. He's getting aggressive and no longer wants to just kill Sam but rip him apart. Pull out the stuffing. As you see one of the Muppet's arm get ripped off. Back at the hideout, we see that Starlight has made it safely with Huey and MM, with Kate following shortly behind in a vehicle she stole, where everyone sees Frenchie and Sage talking about Kimiko arriving back into the States after being deported to the wrong country. MM immediately gets hostile seeing one of the members of the Seven here, which Frenchie goes to defend her. MM makes a joke asking if this woman has whipped him into shape too, just like all the other ones, which Frenchie finally stands up for himself and kicks MM in the leg. Huey breaks them up, wanting Frenchie to explain why Sage is here, which Sage takes over because she's an independent person and she can speak for herself. So, she explains that she hates everyone. Non-Soups didn't listen to her when she was trying to save her grandma, and none of the Soups want to listen to her either when she's trying to save the world. She's tired of not being heard, so she's hoping that these pathetic band of losers will sit down and hear her out. There may be more than one way to stop Homelander. Unfortunately, we cut back to Sam and Homelander, but these aren't Muppets. These are bloodied Soups. Homelander knowing something is happening at V Tower and this kid is in his fucking way. He needs to end this here and now. And so he does. He is able to get a hold of Sam's neck, pinning him to the ground and turning on his heat vision. Now, fortunately and unfortunately, Sam's skin is very durable. So when Homelander lasers him, it doesn't pierce, but radiate across his entire body. Sam screams in agony as he can feel every cell in his body heating up. He is being burned alive by an angry Homelander. But just for a moment, he sees his brother, and they reach out for a hug. Sam's corpse explodes from the heat, just like his brother's. Homelander flies to V Tower, only to find Soldier Boy on the ground, covered in boils. Homelander starts breaking down, crying, screaming, breaking his whole room, destroying the box he kept his own father in until he finally falls on his knees and sees his angel, telling him that he is a god. The whole scene plays out, and as the episode comes to a close, Soldier Boy sits up behind him, going, "What the fuck?" The beginning of episode 3 starts with Homelander and Soldier Boy having a conversation in one of those hospital beds that V Tower has. He seems to have fully healed and starts to talk about Butcher, the virus, and V1, the original compound made by Dr. Godolkin. He first tested it on a bunch of soups that later became Payback, the everlasting, ever-powerful soups, but owned by the military. Godolkin wanted his own soups, so he created Project Odessa, where he would take promising soup children and mix their blood with the Odessa gene. The Odessa gene would turn promising supers into monsters strong enough to even test against V1 soups, and he would stress test them until they popped, seeing who would be worthy of giving V1 to. Because once you mix Odessa blood with V1, monsters would become gods, Godolkin used to say. Until a bunch of his colleagues stole a bunch of the V1 and ended up setting fire to his lab. So, V1 is pretty limited, and testing never came to full tuition. The only person to even survive the experiments, Soldier Boy pauses, almost looking proud but not trying to give too much away. My son survived. Oh, and that black baby with no powers. Their parents took her home, and before she was even tested on, she was sent back. Not that she would have survived anyways. Flashes of Marie Moreau's past appear on screen. Her parents' death as always as she wakes up in the back of a van, Mighty Cricket driving, screaming at her to wake up and revive Butcher. She looks around and finds Jordan, herself, and Cricket. "What happened?" she asks, which Cricket responds she will explain everything once she heals Butcher. Marie starts to heal him, getting a pretty bad headache in the process. Butcher breathes life into his dying lungs. Marie looks at Cricket dizzily before asking again what happened, passing out before hearing the answer. It cuts back to a flashback. Butcher and Soldier Boy laying on the ground of V Tower. Only Butcher's body starts to move on its own. It's hard enough getting one body out of a tower without anyone noticing, much less 3. Firecracker and Jordan are still going at each other, Jordan knocking her down with her force push, but right as she goes to land the final blow, Black Noir goes back into 7 Tower, knocking Jordan out and helping Firecracker back up. Marie Moreau goes to help Jordan, only to find her knocked out, but Black Noir tries to attack her. Cue an underwhelming fight between Black Noir and Marie Moreau with a mastery of her powers, basically throwing him across the room and ragdolling him in the process. When suddenly a noise echoes across 7 Tower, the same noise used to subdue the soups at Godalkin University. This is when we get to see Ashley and her earplugs. Ashley knocks out one of the most powerful soups with nothing more than a chair and sound. But whenever security goes to take care of them, they are nowhere to be seen. Both Marie and Jordan are missing. And that's how Mighty Cricket saved the day. They arrive back at the hideout, Starlight picked out, and the boys are back together. However, someone is missing. Cricket asks where Sam is, in which Huey explains that Sam sacrificed himself so all of us could be here. This information obviously doesn't sit well with the little Cricket, in which she looks at Starlight and yells, "This is all your fault! This is what you had in mind when you said they were gonna redeem themselves? Dying?" Cricket shrinks to an almost atom-like size before attacking Annie relentlessly until Starlight is forced to defend herself, activating her powers for just a moment. But just like that, like a bug to a bug zapper, Cricket gets hit full force. Starlight apologizes profusely, and before Cricket passes out, she hits her with a "Fuck you, Starlight." After the events of episode 1 and 2, Ashley carefully explains everything to Homelander, from Marie Moreau to Butcher to the sound device in V-Tower. Anything to live for a few more seconds. Homelander is very disappointed in Ashley for letting them get away, and on top of that, adding anti-soup technology to 7 Tower without telling him. But Ashley is still going to be useful to him, because she is going to become president, but in the name of Homelander. Episode 4 begins with Sage laying out the 2 plans they have to kill Homelander at the moment. An airborne virus which would kill everyone, or Marie Moreau. The only problem is V1. If Homelander gets to V1 before they do, it will be too late. But there is a chance that the V1 will straight up overload his system because he's too old for it. Either way, the next step is to find Stan Edgar. Edgar would have more information on V1 than Homelander ever would. This is where the Gen V kids step in and tell the boys they know exactly where Stan Edgar is, pretty much to the location. Once they get there, Stan Edgar tells them about Bomb Site, but shortly after he does, he gets kidnapped by Black Noir and Deep. Deep does his dirty trick to get the information out of Stan Edgar and kills him. Everything with Maverick plays out about the same. Deep tells Homelander the good news about getting the information and killing Stan Edgar. But over the phone, Homelander gets caught up on that last part. You killed him. He made me who I am. And you killed him without even asking. Never let me see you or your gills again, or I will break you. Homelander hangs up the phone. The Deep's heart sinks. Unfortunately, Soldier Boy is one step ahead of everyone, using his connection to Bomb Site to get a hold of him. So, the race to Bomb Site already starts. The boys may have found him first, but Soldier Boy is right there and takes the battle into the air faster than anyone can react. Everyone jumps into a van to follow them. Everyone watches as Bomb Site hands over the V1 and Soldier Boy removes his powers. This shows everyone that there may be a third option to kill Homelander. Homelander lands behind Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy clutches the V1, thinking for just a few moments how catastrophic this could possibly be. Sage tells Butcher not to stop Soldier Boy because the V1 will end up overloading his system because he's an adult, and a much older adult than he's supposed to be, and then they could kill him a lot easier. But Annabeth tells Butcher to stop him. She's had a vision of a glowing god whose powers flash red and green, and Butcher needs to stop him now. Sage panics and agrees with her, but it's too late. Soldier Boy hands Homelander the V1, not because of some stupid reason, like Clara would have wanted this, but because of pride in his son. If his son wants to become God, who is he to stop that? Soldier Boy hands Homelander the V1, and Homelander injects it directly into his veins. A whirlwind wraps around him as he starts to writhe in pain. He falls to his knees before shooting a massive laser from his eyes straight into the earth. Soldier Boy saying he's gonna blow a fucking hole in the planet if he's not careful. Knowing he's right, he doesn't even think. He just looks up, shooting his lasers straight into the sky, hoping to get rid of what he thinks is the remaining energy. But when he finally looks back down, he sees his father in 3 different slivers as he falls to the ground. Homelander breaking down into tears as he loses his dad. Butcher telling everyone to run, but without even thinking, Homelander vaporizes the top of the trees, leaving them all exposed. Homelander, already pissed, dashes at William Butcher, but the one to react is Kimiko, pushing him out of the way before being grabbed by Homelander. Before anyone realized what happened, he was holding Kimiko's body 3 miles in the sky. But something was wrong. She was missing her head. He grabbed her body so fast it decapitated her, leaving her head on the ground where she went to protect Butcher. Frenchie grabs her head, putting it in a duffel bag before they all rush to the van. Homelander, disoriented by his own speed, takes a second to even realize what happened before chasing the van down. Starlight, seeing Homelander in the air, calls in for backup and fast. Homelander almost grabbing the speeding van before getting hit really fast and really hard. A-Train built up the speed necessary to knock Homelander to the closest football stadium. Starlight telling Cricket to keep driving no matter what and flies after A-Train. Huey, with his quick thinking, tells them to follow her so that he can direct the city's energy to the stadium. Annie confronts Homelander, who isn't even sure what hit him but has a sneaking suspicion, the damage barely evident on his suit. Homelander starts charging his eyes as Annie starts charging her power. Huey hooks the city's power up to the stadium, causing Starlight to get a huge jump in power. Homelander fires, Starlight counters, but the attack feels worthless. She is on the defense like no other. It's about a 70-30 ratio to start, but slowly starts draining as Starlight runs out of power to convert. Homelander's laser vision seems to have no end and is growing stronger by the second. 25%, 20%, 15, 10, 5, 4, 3. The heat of the laser starts to make Annie sweat as she starts getting sunburnt from the sheer power and heat radiating off of it. When suddenly Homelander gets hit with another super fast, hard-hitting attack. A-Train has been gathering speed so that no matter what, he would be able to hurt Homelander. However, all this did was piss him off. Starlight, with no electricity left at her disposal, falls to the ground, But before she even lands on the ground, Homelander rushes her, backhanding her into the stadium, injuring her like she's never been injured before zooming after A-Train. The hunt for A-Train begins. Honestly, I think everything about A-Train's death should remain the same. Here, I basically just fixed the power scaling. Homelander's fast, A-Train's just a little faster, but one wrong move and he's dead. Play the dramatic scene of him dying. End of the episode. Episode 5 starts with A-Train's funeral and the introduction of Oh Father, Ashley's announcement as president, and Homelander's Flight 37 video is played at the funeral. Set to rig before Homelander got the V1. What was a public stunt to ruin Homelander is possibly the greatest mistake we have ever made. Homelander gets pissed, and with a turn of his head, 50,000 people die. Homelander's revenue takes a huge hit, but it doesn't seem to matter to him. He flies to the local protest full of Starlighters, and he lasers through them. Buildings behind him being torn apart. Scorched earth. Homelander says to the crowd to believe in him, or he will kill everyone. It's all over the news, so the boys need a way to defeat Homelander, and fast. These suggestions are thrown out to the room. Sage points out the Soldier Boy blast, and Marie says that Homelander and her are part of the same project. So V1 is the next step for everyone. However, Sage points out the obvious. Marie just learned to fully control her powers, and now she wants to supercharge them with a mix of V1 that she knows is going to tamper with her current DNA to become an even more potent superhero than even Soldier Boy. Does she even understand how stupid that sounds? The moment she takes V1, she could accidentally turn the entire ocean red. This is a very serious power over life and death, in which Marie explains that she can't revive people anymore. After reviving Butcher and her sister, healing Polarity's brain bleed, and all the other healing that she's done, she has started her own brain bleed. Not only does she need V1 to defeat Homelander, she needs it to survive. Butcher brings up the virus, how it knocked out Soldier Boy cold, and they just need to make it strong enough to kill them all, making it airborne instead of an injection. So, clearly, the way to defeat Homelander is in the air. A virus would kill everyone, like Starlight, Kimiko, Marie, Annabeth, Mighty Cricket, Kate, and more. Creating a Soldier Boy Brelas is very risky because someone could be permanently irradiated without the V1, and with the V1, we are asking for a walking Chernobyl. Or option C, trust the girl whose abilities is to manipulate cells isn't going to go haywire and kill every living thing on the planet by accident as soon as her powers spike. So, they split up into small groups. An argument breaks out between Butcher, Sage, and Frenchie as he is told to follow them both. Frenchie has expertise on the virus, but also expertise on Kimiko. Frenchie obviously picks Kimiko, but this is fine because Butcher has Victoria Newman's husband in a bunker waiting for him, so they split off again. Sage, Frenchie, and Kimiko go to Fort Harmony to see if they can figure out how the Soldier Boy chest blast was created, with Marie, Kate, Jordan, and Cricket going to look for V1 at the same location. But something is very wrong here. The atmosphere itself is wrong. It's because of the living soup spore here, Soldier Boy's brother, that can make anyone with V1 fight. A fight does end up breaking out. Sage tries to fight Frenchie as Kimiko slams them both into a wall. Meanwhile, on the other side of the facility, Kate goes to touch Marie, who instinctively throws her into a wall with her blood bending. However, Jordan punches her in the face for just trying it, which Mighty Crickets tries to stomp her into a mud hole, only to get knocked down by the combined force of Jordan and Marie, who both resume fighting. It is only once Frenchie departs away from the fight and finds Soldier Boy's brother that he is able to do anything, stepping in and killing him. This breaks the spell. Sage, however, is very bloodied, being left alone to fight Kimiko, only being smart enough to not die. However, she is very, very injured. Kimiko tries to comfort her, only for Sage to freak out because she is never used to this amount of pain. Mighty Cricket has a headache from being boomed by Jordan, and same with Marie. However, Kate has a broken nose and a few extra feelings in her body from being thrown around by Marie. Clearly, there was a little extra hate towards Kate after what happened to Andre. They find the blueprints for V1 along with the chest blast chamber. So, they have the knowledge they need to recreate Soldier Boy's blast without killing everyone. When Homelander lands at Fort Harmony, the very ground shakes when he arrives. He knows they're in there. He can hear their very heartbeats. As each of them manage to hide themselves in zinc boxes around Fort Harmony, not everyone was quick enough. Sage and Kimiko are the slowest because of how bad Sage's injuries are. So, Frenchie, with his quick thinking, taps on the glass of the Soldier Boy chamber, causing Homelander to find him instantly. You have never danced a day in your life. He flips the switch on, causing Homelander to get a bit weary, but this is V1 Homelander we're talking about. This is nothing for him. The episode ends with Frenchie's death. Episode 6 begins with Frenchie's funeral, but this time it is an actual sad, somber moment. Frenchie had just learned to start standing up for himself, for what he believed in, for who, and what did it get him. Kimiko, enraged, goes along with Sister Sage's plan to turn her into Soldier Girl. However, Marie's stubbornness to help has started to get in her own way. This whole time, she has been told that she is going to be the one to kill Homelander. All that pressure, stress, anticipation has started to get to her, and between that and her brain bleeding, she starts making increasingly irrational decisions, until eventually stealing the V1 Sage had made for Kimiko. She has going to put all of this weight on her own shoulders. She goes out far, far away from everyone else, back to the destroyed forest where Soldier Boy once laid. Right before she takes the V1, Starlight arrives. She's the fastest one left and the only one who would be able to get there in time. But would Starlight stop Marie from taking it? Or would she just be there to support her decision and be there if something went wrong, even if it killed her? Starlight finds cover, but is still there for her. Marie takes the V1. She starts to writhe on the ground just like Homelander. Dried blood becomes liquid around her again. She says she can feel everything, every blood cell in her, but also every living cell around her. The blood in the animals, the plants, the living cells, the humans, all of it. She feels all of it. Her power explodes. She fixes the whole forest Homelander vaporized days ago. As she tries to calm down, she hears a baby. A cry next to her. Something has spawned next to her. Here, where Soldier Boy's corpse used to be, lied baby Benjamin. Marie thought this was great. We could get the Soldier Boy blast without having to irradiate Kimiko. All we had to do was reset his age. Unfortunately, this doesn't go planned at all. When she revived him all the way. This is Baby Ben. No powers, no V1, no compound V. So, when Marie goes to reset his age, Soldier Boy is roughly 130 years old. He becomes old as dirt and dies of old age almost instantly. Starlight asks, "What the fuck just happened?" Marie has no idea. She thought she was just putting him back. Starlight finally looks around her, getting a grasp of how powerful Marie actually is. This entire forest was vaporized days ago, and now you can't even tell. Hell, there might even be more life than before. Starlight takes a few minutes to think before coming to the conclusion that she does in the show, except it actually makes sense this time. Marie has no control over this level of power. For all we know, she has become Gaia. And when she goes to fight Homelander, all she's going to do is heal everything and accomplish nothing. She could make death meaningless if she isn't careful, and that could have everlasting, unforeseen consequences. Sage was right. She could turn the ocean completely red if she isn't careful. So the answer is now no. Marie has been grounded. Meanwhile, we cut to Ryan. Not killing people, but incapacitating them, similar to the Invincible variant, who practiced paralyzation. This is not a Ryan who wants to kill. This is a Ryan who is defending himself. After the whole ordeal, Homelander finds him and Ryan confronts him about him raping his mom. Homelander tries to deflect before ultimately beating the shit out of him. Homelander leaves, having given up on everything, when Father goes to talk to him about being the god of the new world. Not one-to-one, but father of all. Homelander, with this newfound revelation, plans to announce his godhood from the White House in 2 days. Enter episode 7. This episode is going to tie together loose ends, Homelander's murder of millions and his threat to broadcast tomorrow, the death of Firecracker in Black Noir, the plans to break into the White House, Kimiko getting a new thing of V1 after Sage got stolen from by Marie Moreau, and getting the chest blast so that Homelander can have his powers taken away without giving everyone too much radiation poisoning. But as a result, Sister Sage still loses her powers. Marie and Jordan take a few minutes to be a cute couple because Marie will not be able to join the fight tomorrow, and Jordan will. But for a few moments I want to focus on one character. Someone who's been having increasingly alarming dreams. Annabeth goes on talking about her visions, but some don't seem as real as others. Yes, there was that one about the glowing god changing from red to green, an ocean of blood, a throne of bones, billions of bodies, and others where death becomes meaningless. No one could die, so everyone would try anything just to achieve death, just to be brought back again. All of these conflicting ideas haunt her. The death of her own parents flash in her head. How many lives could she have saved if she could just think straight? She has a breakdown that keeps her out of the fight, just like Marie. Her visions are more on the line of schizophrenia. She starts to forget which of her memories are real and which are visions, so Butcher makes the smart choice to keep both of them out of the fight. Tomorrow is the day everything goes down. Huey and Butcher sit down and talk about using the virus. Starlight, Kimiko, Marie, no one wants to be immortal, but that doesn't mean they should all have to die for this cause. Butcher and Huey argue for a while, but Butcher cracks just a little. He says, "Fine, we'll try it your way, but this activation remotes triggers whether I'm here or not. If we lose, everyone loses." And Huey nods, terrified. Enter episode 8. Like I said from the beginning of the video, God only knows how long ago, I actually do like episode 8. Sure, the spectacle could have been better, but Homelander, Butcher, Ryan, and Kimiko should have been the ones to do it. Treat Soldier Boy like the raid boss he is, only letting a few people get attacks in before slamming them into the fight, leaving them incapacitated. I don't think Kate or Cricket would be ready to fight, both being mentally checked out from losing both Sam and Andre. So, Kate, Cricket, Annabeth, and Marie all do end up going to Canada, with Marie being the last resort if everything goes wrong. Butcher not telling anyone about the real last resort. Homelander flies into space with Elon Musk, only to look at the damage he caused. At one point, so very long ago, he wanted to be a hero. Now look at him. A monster. No. A god. The rest of the episode would play pretty much like normal. Starlight taking off with Deep, getting him killed in the water. Huey, MM, and Jordan fighting Oh Father, none of them being able to get in close until MM sneaks up behind him and kills him with his own powers. Thanks, Mom. I only kept this in because you found it funny. Sage ends up being right. Homelander is too old for the Odessa gene to work, and his powers aren't as potent as they should be. Ryan, Butcher, and Kimiko subdue Homelander and remove his powers before killing Homelander. The day is saved. Butcher has a conversation with Ryan. Ryan is now the most powerful soup on the planet, since he was born with his powers and has full control over them, theoretically only being able to grow from here, and without eating any drugs to do so. No amount of Soldier Boy Blast will end up being able to take his powers away because there is no compound V to irradiate. But Ryan doesn't want to be anything like Butcher or Homelander. They killed people, and all he wants to do is help the people they both hurt. With this, the boys disbanding, and Butcher's dog Terror passing away, Butcher is left alone in the same space Homelander was. And alone is where wicked men fester. He grabs the airborne virus that Frenchie made, the true last resort if Marie was unable to stop Homelander. He goes to V-Tower, where he sets up the trap. Huey finds the drawer open, along with an empty box that housed the activation device in it, in which the show starts to wrap up exactly like it did before. Butcher and Huey talk. Whether Butcher would have or not doesn't really matter. For Starlight, for Ryan, for Marie and Jordan, and all those kids who didn't do anything wrong but be a product of their parents' wrong choices, he's going to murder them all. And Huey had to stop him. So he shoots him. Butcher dies, just like in the original story. Huey and Starlight are now pregnant and are naming the kiddo Robin. Kimiko temporarily locks herself in a cell with a picture of Frenchie and instructions on how to cure radiation, written by Sister Sage. She smiles as she starts to take her hyper-literal chemotherapy seriously, eventually being able to rejoin society without killing everyone around her. Getting the dog and going to France just like her and Frenchie always wanted. MM got his re-wedding and adopted Ryan, teaching him a moral code to keep himself and the people he wants to protect safe. Jordan and Cricket sit in her and Marie's home, Cricket smoking weed. She asks Jordan if she's seen Marie, and Jordan responds with, "It's been a few days, but that's pretty normal for her." She loves to connect with nature on a cellular level now, and Jordan has never been worried about her girlfriend dying or getting kidnapped. Kate, Annabeth, and Cricket end up going to therapy to get over the trauma all three of them faced. Sister Sage goes home and reads all of her books as if she has read them for the first time. Seven Tower gets destroyed. Obviously, William Butcher's virus was removed from the Seven Tower water supply and sent to Vought for study, only for a few years later Vought to get shut down as a whole. Ashley gets impeached and sent to prison. In her prison cell, her only friend is her tumor, which she will have for the rest of her life. When out of the corner of her eye, she spots something, barely illuminated by the prison light, and the cell just across from her lays a very, very familiar person. Ashley whispers, "John? Is that you?" John, previously known as Homelander, looks up, but there's no strength in his eyes, no strength in his muscles, barely a whisper of the man-child he once was, and definitely no superpowers. Ashley is stunned. How is this even possible? The whole world watched him die on live TV. John says nothing, but another voice chimes in. A pair of heels clicking down the hallway as the lights fully turn on. Marie Moreau stops at Ashley's cell, dressed in an outfit almost identical to Victoria Newman. Ashley, in horror, asks what Marie thinks she's doing. Marie responds that she's going to give Soups a real voice in office, and how some pathetic person like Ashley is going to join John here. Death is too good for what happened to Andre, so he will live out the rest of his natural life here, in prison, powerless to stop anyone around him. And that is the end of my boys rewrite. Did you like the way I ended it? Do you think I should write a season 6 continuing this story? I would love to hear what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching all the way through, and I will see you all next time. Happy 4th of July, and take care.